everyone. I'm delighted to present and to moderate this session. We have both people physically present in this room, which is nice after some period of only hybrid, only virtual meetings. And we know that there are many people that are following us remotely. So I'm really happy. And well, the topic we are going to address today is the artificial intelligence and the relation with the ethics and all related aspects. And for discussing this topic, we have invited several speakers, and they will focus more on specifically in the manufacturing sector. So, you know, the topic is very broad, and so we are trying to narrow it a little bit and to discuss and to share our experience about artificial intelligence applied in the manufacturing sector, which are the ethical, legal, and human implications. So my name is Eva Kosha. I'm from R2M Solution. I have organized this session together with Elena Minishi from Crete. She is with us today, and she will introduce herself later. So since we are a little bit late, not so much, because in the end we have enough time to discuss, I will go very quickly through the agenda. Most of the motivation and organization of this workshop came from the Kit for SME project. So I will soon leave the floor to Andrea Bettoni, who is the coordinator of the project, to introduce the project, specifically stressing the artificial intelligence aspects and the ethical implication. And then we will hear the voice of an end user of our solution, Salvatore Alvesi, and we will also talk about how to connect with the facilitators like digital innovation apps. Following the Kit for SME part, we will have presentations from a couple of other projects. One is AI Regio from Marina Kugura, and the third one is Koala from Nicholas Asher. Then we will stop for a while for a coffee break, and then we will open the second part of the meeting, which is a roundtable. So we selected some questions that we consider hot questions in this domain, and we will be happy to hear the comments, the contribution, the opinions of our speakers. Meantime, you will have also the opportunity of writing your own questions, and you cannot share your microphone, but you can write your questions, and we will address your question. We'll ask the speakers, the people present here, to contribute to the discussion around your question. And to introduce them before launching the roundtable, we will also hear the presentation about a very interesting service that the Commission is offering to all the projects to support standardization activities and to investigate about existing legal and regulatory barriers. And we are also nice to have one person representing this service. So Maria, she will introduce the service, and then she will be an active participant to the round table. Okay, so I think that Andrea Bettoni can now share his screen and start the presentation about Kit for SME.
Thank you, Eva, and I share my screen. So you should be seeing my presentation now.
Is
that correct?
Just 1 minute that we are in the share. That's good.
Tell me when I can start.
Okay, you can go now.
Sorry, can I start?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So my name is Andrea Bettoni. I'm the coordinator of the Kit for SME project, as nicely introduced by Eva Kosha. I'm a senior researcher and lecturer at the University of Applied Sciences and Arts of Southern Switzerland, SUPSI. And today I will give you a very brief introduction into the Kit for SME project. So, but I want to take a step back from the project to actually the initial analysis that we did at the beginning of 2021 to understand what is the situation in the landscape of AI adoption for small and medium enterprises. As you see, we have this SME acronym incorporated in our project acronym because we focused on the adoption of AI for small and medium enterprises. We built a model because we thought that AI adoption is not only about introduction of technology, but it is about being able to digitalize the factory operation, create a strategy for data management, work on the human resources in order to make them more skilled, more aware of this transformation, and the work on the organizational structure, and not as the last point, also the organization's culture. So we went out there and we interview a lot of companies from diverse sectors in the industry, and what we got was that AI is obviously not yet a totally widespread technology, but at least half of the companies out there have already done some trial, some implementation, some exploration of this technology. This number, this share narrows down if you think of those who are actually pursuing some strategy for AI adoption. So maybe they've done some spot application, but they don't have something more structured inside the company. And even less have thought of training their employees in order to create the digital skills that are necessary to make the most out of this technology. One thing that is now consolidated to the contrary is the perception of how data collection is fundamental for the business, even of these small and medium enterprises. But there are still barriers out there. First of all, obviously, they understand that data are important, but they don't have enough data to use AI. Every time we work with some company trying to support them in this journey, we start with this very big barrier that we don't have the huge amount of data that the AI system needs to work on. Second, they don't have easy to use solution. If we're talking about small and medium enterprise, you need to have something that they can immediately start using and become a success story for them. So you don't want to give them complex systems that can do anything, but in practice they don't do nothing for the company. So you need something customized and easy to use, and you need to work on the training, the upskilling needed for operators to actually use those solutions.
Andrea, we have some issues with your voice. I don't know if you're local issue with the connection or.
I'm really not sure about that because I'm connected through a cable, so it should be, usually it is super fine. So really, I don't know what I can do to.
Andrea, we lost your voice and also your screen.
Okay, that's really not good.
Okay, now it's okay.
It's better, but can you hear me?
Now it's okay.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you, okay. But still we cannot see your screen.
I'm in sharing mode, so it should be, I can stop sharing and share it again. Maybe that could help. Can you see it now?
No.
I don't know if it's some problem with the connection or something. Maybe you can share it, so I will.
Yeah, we can see it.
You can see
Go
it?
on, Andrea. We can see your screen now.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, so I will go directly to our project and what it is meant to do. So it specifically target, as I said, small and medium enterprises to give them scope tailored and industry ready kits of that include not only the AI solution but also all the hardware, the software infrastructure that can make them work in their companies based on artificial intelligence. In numbers, Kit for SME has been funded within the I4MS program, the last phase in Horizon 2020, within a network of 8 projects. We will have AI Regio, for example, talking later in this workshop. We are funded for 8 million, out of which 2.5 are dedicated to small actions in which we invite these small and medium enterprises to experiment with the solutions that we have in our marketplace. And we have a nice set of networks within the consortium and through the digital innovation hubs that we collaborate with. How does the Kit for SME platform works? We basically start with the diagnostic phase. So we have an AI-based questionnaire that allows to detect which are the issues that the company is experiencing in its everyday working activities. Then out of the solutions that we have in our marketplace, we compose the kit in order to give them a personalized solution that can solve the diagnosed issues. Then we start sensing their environment. So we have we support the full stream from IoT, machine sensors, environmental sensors, down to the AI solutions, so to the data brokerage and solution provision based on our fireware architecture. And then we have the decision-making part in which humans interact with the AI decision makers in order to take the best of both the experience and flexibility of the human and the data-driven reasoning of the AI solutions. Finally, the last pillar, I went very rapidly, obviously, but I want just to give you an idea of what we're doing, is the one dedicated to the upskilling, to the evolution of the company, to changing both the competencies residing in the workforce, but also the culture that we have in our company, so that they can actually adopt this kind of AI solutions. And here comes our value proposition. So where does Kit for SME actually support both AI solution providers and companies in manufacturing companies in using artificial intelligence? Well, we start from this problem. Most of the time we have AI developers which are very good at creating the model, but this is not enough. You really need to follow the full stream of the artificial intelligence pipeline in order to have it actually working at your customer company. So that involves a series of steps. Obviously here, the first two steps, preparation of the data and development of the model, is where artificial intelligence developers are very good at, and they like to do this stuff. And this is the most important part, because this is where the value is created out of the data. But it is not enough. You need to package the model, validate the model, deploy the model. And here it's very important to be efficient, because you want to reach your customer as soon as possible. Once you've done an offer, you really want to be ready to deploy the solution so that they can start using. And these require competencies that are not those of artificial intelligence developers or data scientists. They're not good at it, and they do not like to do it. Finally, you have the usage phase, and this is where the value is actually perceived by the end user. So if you don't reach this phase, the value you have created will be wasted. So here you want to have a solution that is reliable and always available. We will talk, I think, later on about fallback plans. What happens when an AI solution that is driving my production can fall down, and how do I still continue to produce in this situation. So when we talk with the SMEs, manufacturing SMEs, they always said, we want to have something that doesn't crash. And this is where Kit for SME is actually supporting companies, is taking through its architecture and its marketplace, it's supporting all the phases from the packaging of the model to the usage of the model. But we have also to reach as many, we actually, as you see, act as a broker between the solution providers and the manufacturing SMEs, and we need to reach as many of them. So we leverage the digital innovation hubs to be close to these companies. And the mechanism of the open calls, so competitive calls for funding that we offer to SMEs out there in order to make them experiment with our solution. So we start building this infrastructure of our Kit for SME platform with the data brokers, the marketplace, all the APIs for integrating own solution into our platform. We have experimented. We will hear Salvatore Alivesi from Ideltech in a few moments talking about one of the internal pilots that we have inside our Kit for SME consortium. And then we offer the possibility to do even more. We have 10 actions that we have funded for 1 million euros that are adding new AI modules to our Kit for SME marketplace. So the network is growing, and the solutions available are becoming more and more. And just yesterday, actually, so I'm giving some news, we have received the application for our second round of open calls, which will fund small consortia built of one manufacturing SME and one solution providers to make even more experiments. We have received 23 proposals. We have 1.5 million euros to distribute, and so this will be our next challenge in the future. I think I was able to stay in my 15 minutes. This is our project in a nutshell. You have this QR code if you want to take a look at our report on AI adoption, and we will meet later in the roundtable to discuss the topics about AI and ethics in manufacturing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andrea. And yes, you have been excellent in using the right amount of time. So we do a small change in our agenda. Davorka, if it is okay for you, we would like to leave the floor to you and then to Salvatore, because Salvatore is now trying to solve some technical issues with the browser. So if it is fine, we can move to your presentation, and we can share our screen, and just tell me when I have to go on with the slides. Just okay. 1 minute. We use again our presentation. Okay, so I just scroll down to reach your own presentation, a little bit of spoiling because I'm going through the other slides. Okay. Okay. Do you confirm that you can see the slide?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, just tell me when I have to go on, and I will click for you.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Davorka. I'm from Innovation Center from Croatia. We are one of the SME partners. We are one of 4 DIH partners. Next, please. Okay, so shortly to tell you about our DIH. So Innovation Center Nikola Tesla is hosting a virtual digital innovation hub named RoboHub. It is the abbreviation for Croatian Robotics Hub. So RoboHub is now almost 6 years operational. You can find the profile of our DIH in this link. So I don't know why it has an echo, because no one else apart from me is here.
Yeah, you can you hear me?
Yeah.
Your voice is a little bit high, so if you can reduce the volume, that would be perfect. Or the distance from the microphone. Otherwise, it's really difficult to understand you.
No, I just have a... Do you hear me now?
Yes?
I don't have any loudspeaker.
Eva, maybe
Better if I put my microphone from my off my mouth. Is it better now? Do you hear me? Hello?
Yes, much better now, Davorka.
Yes, much better.
Yep. I don't know what happened actually because I did nothing.
May I also suggest to disable the cameras so that if we have bandwidth.
Okay, I agree.
Thank you very much.
Okay. May I continue?
Of course.
Okay. So technical competencies of our Digital Innovation Hub is mainly robotics and artificial intelligence in general. So application sectors, manufacturing in general. So all we are not aiming any specific manufacturing sector, agriculture, and especially public services like health, public procurement, insurance, and other public services. So we have more than 30 partners in our hub, but the main are University of Zagreb Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing, Croatian Chamber of Commerce, Zagreb Innovation Center, because we are located in Zagreb. So Zagreb Innovation Center is also one of our partners, Union of Croatian Innovators, Croatian Union of Employers, and etc. etc. So we have plenty of partners in our hub. So our services are awareness creation. So we are trying to connect all the stakeholders in our innovation ecosystem. So ecosystem building, brokerage. So of course, collaborative research on various robotics and AI topics. We have in one of our partners, it has incubator and accelerator facilities, so can provide support, access to funding, technology and business mentoring. We do it on a daily basis. So, and then of course, education and skills development on various robotics and AI topics. So at the moment, 15 employees work specifically for CroboHub projects. Of course, ICENT has more employees. We have more than 100 experts available at Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing labs, because we are established by the faculty. So the faculty helps us in every way. So also more than 300 square meters of lab space. Please continue. Next slide. Okay, just in a nutshell, so far we raised more than €1 million in various H2020 and now digital projects. We started with CroboHub cascade funding through HORSE project. Then we were partners in L4MS. Then another cascade funding from HORSE project. We are currently partners in D8 Square project, where we have 26 DHs partners, and now network that is growing, and we have more than 90 DHs throughout the Europe. AIDH network, it was mentoring program, and of course, Kit for SME. Next slide, please. The latest achievement. So we won the EC call for European digital innovation financing. So our EDIH will be named CroboHub Plus, Croatian Industry and Society Boosting, specialized in 3 key areas of the Digital European Program: artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, high-performance computing, and focus on the following sector: manufacturing industry, digitized agriculture, energy and environment, public administration. This project is 3 years, will be 3 years, with the possibility of additional 3 years, and will start 1st of January. Next slide, please. Okay, these are our other activities: community building, networking events, roundtables, invited lectures, robot days. So I don't have time. So can we please next slide? Okay, now I will tell you quickly about our benefit in this project and generally DIHs. How can DIHs benefit from the Kit for SME project? DIHs are seen as one of the most important stakeholders together with AI users and AI developers. In our project, they have the essential role because they have innovation ecosystems of their own, so they can multiply Kit for SME results, open calls, and they can use marketplace and attract users of Kit for SME marketplace. Next slide, please. Okay, in our project, in Kit for SME project, there are 4 partners that are DIHs. Apart from us, it is VTT from Finland, Art Air from Italy, and CSIC from Spain. Also, we have 3 regional innovation ecosystems: SUPSI, CRIT, and WUT from Poland. You can see that we are spread all over the Europe. We also have several hundreds of stakeholders. Our network is huge, so you can imagine that we can multiply all the results and all the information on the Kit for SME marketplace. Next slide, please. Okay, benefits for DIHs, but also I will tell you how Crobo Hub benefited from the Kit for SME. So access to a wide network of various stakeholders. I already showed you that we have a huge network of various stakeholders from different countries. Another benefit is that DIHs can integrate their services into the platform offers. So Kit for SME platform will be open to DIHs that would like to integrate their services and offer it through the platform. Possibility to offer new upgraded or joint services with other DIHs. Of course, if we can cooperate with each other, we can find some synergies, some pain points that can be overcome by some other DIHs, so new or upgraded or joint services can be offered. Also, we have access to the state-of-the-art know-how and AI solutions for SMEs, because Kit for SME platform will be populated with AI solutions, but also with know-how offered through, I don't know, education, workshops, and other activities. Also, possibility to offer tailor-made packages, software and hardware included, that fit the needs of specific SMEs. So we can tailor-make the solutions that will fit every SME that needs help. Access to new markets with help from local contact point. Of course, it's much easier to enter new market when you have a person that can help you, that speaks local language and knows local market and all the constraints that can happen. And possibility to find new customers and additional revenue stream at European and local level. Of course, it is connected with new markets. So if you can enter new market, then you will. It's very possible you'll find new customers and additional revenue stream will arise from these activities. So next slide, please. I think this is the last one. Next slide, just for my contact information.
Here it is. Okay. Thank you all. So this is Salvatore Alivesi. I'm the Vice President Operation of Ideal Tech. And We are part of the kit for SME. I hear before that Andrea Bettoni from SUPSI did introduce what the aim of this project is and what it means for a small medium enterprise like ourselves. So can you go next? So we are based in Switzerland. Edeltech is a company born in 1964. We always been pretty much between 60 up to 80 people in the company. We are a manufacturer of precision and tools. And our goal is to build and design a specific hand tool instrument for a variety of application and market segment worldwide. Please, next. Next. So as you can see, we basically have hard artisans process on making on our tool. We work in different market segment, as I was saying, distributed worldwide. We have pretty much a high complexity of the variety of the product we realize. And our value proposition is based on high quality next service level, able to personalize and engineer the process. Our process, for definition, is a people-driven process. And in the years, my goal has been the one to formalize the artisan steps in order to retain the know-how, but more important, in order to transfer this know-how to from an operator to another, in order to be able to scale this solution. We can go next. Yeah, we're having some issues on the slides movement. Anyhow, in order to make this formalization, we began a long trip toward digitalization. We did build a technical data sheet to be shared on the production floor in an ecosystem that we call once only. The idea is to introduce and formalize in our system the information only one time, and the same information to be able to be shared and used by different departments in the company. From the production floor, in this way, the single operator can track down the information related to the task they were performing, to the quality control that use this information to check and control if the specification of the product is within the specification of the requirement of the customers, to the marketing service that use this information in order to build the marketing material for our website, for instance, or for our distribution network. So we use data analysis in order to check and control who does what, and to check and control also beside a full tracking system, also the bottom-up approach of the cost controlling. And we are pushing the digitalization toward AI system that really can help us to maintain and build reliable data management in the production process. And this is, again, for a small, medium enterprise, I think the most important step. Be able to build up a reliable ecosystem with lots of information, but set the information in the right set of data that can be then used from this different software, and can be used by an artificial intelligent solution. So here again, this is what IdealTech have been doing toward the introduction of intelligence artificial. The step we made is to work on digitalization, try to formalize an artisan's process. And what challenge AI can help us to face? Well, and on the kit for SME, we did place two main problems. To check and control the surface quality detection. As you are aware, I mean, the number of non-conformity in a production floor can really affect the productivity of and efficiency of a production. So the system is helping us to identify in a production step the quality issues that we do have. So this is a very good example on how artificial intelligence really can perform a job that up to date is performed by a human being. And still we are testing this solution. The other challenge is to check the tips alignment and dimension. And this is the most important step and challenge to be solved in our case, and where we see the more value coming out on artificial intelligence. This is the example where a system can perform, again, something that is one of the core tasks of our artisans in the production process. Check and control if the product is within the specification in a try and recover way. In the very last step of our production process, the operators have to produce the final product, and in a system as defined, try, recover, try to align the tips and get to the proper dimension. So we are asking the system to help the operator to understand if this task is performed in a proper way. What is coming out from we can see how the system is using the data, which is the digitalized that I showed you before. And this is why the digitalization is, again, a very important step for a company to make in order to be able to use a more sophisticated system. So what value the kit for SME brings to the table to a small medium enterprise? Well, did help on overcoming the lack of trust of AI by creating effective and real solution. Give us trusted and experienced partners that can support the effective and efficient adoption of the right AI solution, fitting our needs, context, and requirement. Give us a set of customized modules that fit with the specific small medium enterprise needs. A wide ecosystem of developers, system integrator, manufacturing companies. Give us funds that can support the adoption of this solution. Give us a method and tools. All these steps are definitely a very high barrier for a small, medium enterprise where the credibility of alternative solution beside the one operator since many years really find a very high barrier to invest money and time on that direction. So it's really a milestone of a set of value that really is supporting us toward a new solution that can give us an added value and a competitive advantage. So thank you for your attention, and thank you for your patience.
First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation to this interesting workshop. I'm very glad to be here. I am Marina Kogura. I am a lawyer specialized in research and innovation development with a PhD on legal issues of new technologies. I am also an ethics expert serving for European Commission and European Defence Agency, as well as an ethics advisor in several European projects. Today, I will introduce you some legal and ethical challenges for human-machine interaction in the manufacturing domain, and in particular focusing on the IREGIO approach. In our project, the legal and ethical dimensions are really transversal. We have an holistic framework for covering them, and in particular, we have three tasks dedicated to such issues. In Work Package 1, we have activities dedicated to ethical assessment and governance. In Work Package 2, we have the definition of the legal and ethical requirement for our technology and our experiment. And in Work Package 7, we deepen all the legal, regulatory, and ethical issues with service and with dedicated experimentations. This is due to the awareness that human centricity is really essential for the future of manufacturing domain, and therefore it is at the core of our research. In fact, the work has a pivotal nature in most adult lives, and in the workplaces of the futures, human and robot machine will share physical spaces, working not only secondly, but also with real-time responses. So it is important that any technological advances in this field put the human needs and interests at the center. For doing this, we have moved on 4 different pillars. We conducted survey on these issues. We conducted and are conducting, of course, experimentation. We developed and are implementing a legal and ethical toolkit comprising an ethical strategy, an ethical fairness and privacy approach, the definition of requirement, a human rights impact assessment, and consultation with stakeholders. And we defined and are implementing and using in our experiment well-being indicators. All these activities and achievements are going to ensure the trustworthiness of our solutions and demonstration activities. Starting from the ethics and data protection impact assessment, we conducted one for each experiment, covering not only artificial intelligence solutions, but also other technologies. And the focus was on human involvement, on the technological aspect covering in particular artificial intelligence, and on personal data protection. This tool is really important for the assessment of the risk for individual, for the assessment of legal and ethical compliance, and for identifying and implementing proper mitigating measures. Another important aspect that we are addressing in our technology is the human well-being. We are trying to prioritize human well-being in our technology, adopting a comprehensive concept of well-being, where the human operator well-being is meant to cover not only the safeguard of human values and ethical principles, but also human empowerment and inclusiveness. In fact, our artifacts should be proficient in assisting also aging, disabled, or apprentice operators, as well as they should be capable of increasing the working capabilities of any operator in a fully inclusive manner, with methods and tools for continuous adaptation of their workplaces and workpieces to their physical, sensory, and cognitive capabilities. This is what we believe is central to ensure human centricity. For doing this, we developed, as I mentioned before, a set of human well-being indicators specifically targeted empower workplaces and human-machine collaboration in a manufacturing domain, covering multiple dimensions of well-being, for identifying the risk for the workers and the challenges from an ethical and societal viewpoint, but also to take appropriate mitigating action when necessary. This is expected to foster and promote a positive attitude of the worker in engaging with this new technological breakthrough, to improve its satisfaction, to build trust, and in the end, to harnessing a potential and its acceptance and adoption in the future. This is the list of our indicators, well-being indicator, covering, for instance, the fatigue reduction, the self-esteem and sense of worthiness, but also the job satisfaction, psychological well-being, the safety and physical health. Moving to another activities and other outcomes of our project in this sector, we also conducted a wide survey on the key legal and ethical challenges of the collaborative intelligence empowered human-machine co-working environment. We addressed and deepened several topics, ranging from the know-how to operate, the stigmatization and social sorting, the psychological issues, the comfort, well-being and acceptance, liability challenges, privacy challenges, accountability, automated decision-making and explainability, as well as, of course, safety. All these aspects, or at least some of them, are going to be demonstrated and covered in our technology and regulatory sandboxes, Teresa, which are exactly aimed at addressing these issues derived from the full adoption of human-AI interaction in production system towards a human-centric and trustworthy co-working environment facilitated by artificial intelligence. What is a Teresa? Teresa stands for Technical and Regulatory Sandboxes for AI, enabling a testing environment for this kind of products and services for human-machine interaction through artificial intelligence and collaborative intelligence solutions, especially, where ethical challenges and shortcomings of the regulatory landscape can be addressed thanks to experiments running on a limited scale and in secure and controlled way according to the test before invent paradigm with the involvement of volunteers and, of course, following a specific testing plan agreed and monitored by the regulators. This is going to follow a test with such hands-on bottom-up approach, and we need, it is necessary to underline that we adopted a relaxed concept of regulatory sandboxes in order to have the adequate level of flexibility. Which are the benefits and opportunities of this approach of running a Teresa? First of all, the innovators, in our case, the didactic factories, are going to have a much better understanding of the regulation, of the expectation of the competent authorities, and in order to develop a solution regulatory compliant since the very beginning, in this way reducing the time to market. On the other hand, the Teresa are going to contribute to the advancement of the deregulatory landscape, identifying the weaknesses and strengths of the existing framework and challenges, of course, in order to tackle with them. In this regard, it is important to mention that in our project, we propose to our didactic factories a model where we invite them to engage as competent authorities with their standardization body as really key actors in this regard in order to be able of keep up with the fast pace of innovation. On the other hand, the Teresa are a way to concretely operationalize the ethical principle of trustworthy AI, which is the role of the didactic factory in our project. The didactic factory will conceive, design, and implement our technology and regulatory sandboxes with the engagement of technological supporting partners, competent authorities, and volunteers. They are really the ideal place where to implement the regulatory sandboxes because they have already functional experimental facilities with connection with industry problems as well with closeness to real factories. So it is really a good place where to implement our Teresa. Regarding the competent authorities role, they are going to have a better understanding of the specific challenges of human-machine interaction in the manufacturing domain, thanks to the dialogue and experience sharing with the innovators and volunteers. They are going this way to contribute to the development of the regulatory framework, and thanks to feedback and guidance and indication to the innovators, they are going to reduce the regulatory and ethical uncertainty around this technological artifact. Regarding some example of legal, societal, and ethical issues in our scenarios, we can mention, for instance, the risk for human autonomy and dignity, the risk for privacy, the risk for deepening the digital skill divide, the lack of transparency, the technological determinism, the liability allocation, and asymmetries of powers, and many others, of course. In our project, we try to cluster them in 4 main categories in order to test them in our Teresa. These categories are safety of the worker, covering health and safety, but also privacy, well-being, comfort, and acceptance, covering the mental well-being and self-esteem of the operators, the human dignity, human autonomy, and the willingness to collaborate with the machine. The improvement of working conditions thanks to ergonomics considerations, stress reduction, fatigue reduction, effects on the work and skills. And last but not least, social inclusion and the consideration of special categories of workers, such as those with some employment. We are testing these issues, these concerns in our core group of Teresa throughout Europe, for instance, in Switzerland with the mini factory Teresa, in Netherlands with the big factory Teresa, and in Italy with the Luisa Teresa. And some other in Portugal, again in Italy, and for instance, the Made Competence Center Teresa. Regarding what our process, first of all, we identify the didactic factories and the service tool to be tested in each of them. We prepare an overview of what the Teresa would have been and identify the supporting partners. They together develop the testing plan and we involve the competent authorities and the volunteers and gather the necessary ethics approval. Now we are running the experiment in our core group of Teresa, and the next step will be to derive lessons learned and analyze their results. Of course, all this is going to be enlarged to other didactic factories. So we have a network under development, and some of them is interested to develop some Teresa. So please, if you are interested to join our network of didactic factory and deploy a Teresa, please contact us and you will be involved in our process. Thank you. It is all from my side. Thanks.
So, good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Giuffrida. I am a senior researcher at Trust IT and Compla, which are two SMEs affiliated between each other and located in Pisa, Italy. I'm very glad to be here. I hope that people from remote can hear me well. If not, please tell. Thank you for the opportunity that you have given us to present a service which is, I think, very useful for the topics that we've been talking about this morning. This service is supported by the European Commission, of course, and it's called HS Booster. It's actually a project that aims at supporting initiatives and projects from the framework of Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe to boost their results with regards to standardization activities in many fields. In the next 10 minutes that I have at my disposal, I will try to very briefly touch 3 points. So give you a snapshot overview of what the service is about, then how to get engaged if you are a project interested in standardization topics or if you are an expert in standardization, and last, what you can get, let's say, from this service. Let's start with the first point. So what's this service about? Basically, the HS Booster is a pilot for what will be the standardization booster of the Commission. It's a project that lasts 24 months. It started this year in April and will end March 2024. It has a budget of 2 million euro, and about 20% of this budget, so 400K, is destined to experts in standards in many fields that will be recruited to support projects, research projects in any field, including AI or manufacturing, to make a contribution to the revision of existing standards or the creation of new standards. And this is a very important topic because the standardization booster is actually mentioned and it's part of the European standardization strategy. So this means that whatever the project you are working in is talking about, standards are really very important to, let's say, valorize your research results. This service was created, let's say, by the Commission because, as you know, in many projects, there are work packages or tasks that are required or requested to make a contribution to standards, but when it comes to actually do it, many times the consortia don't have precise knowledge or experience or training or skills about this, and so they felt doing also a study, which I reported here, that's called the scoping study for the code of practice for researchers on standardization. They identified, let's say, a series of areas where the HS Booster can actually help projects in contributing practically to standards. So that's why we came up with this pilot project that we are launching in these months. And let's say the key elements and characteristics of HS Booster are first the creation of a community of standards experts that we are recruiting in many different fields. These experts will be paid, let's say, by us, by the project and by the commission to consult projects, H2020 or Horizon Europe projects, both ended or still ongoing, and for the projects there is no cost to access to this service. And by doing this, we aim at, let's say, creating a fruitful exchange of experience and also, let's say, deliver some reports, recommendations that in the end will actually feed policies on these topics for the Commission. The services that we offer are in three main levels. The first, level one, that's the bottom blue box in the slide. Level one support is like entry-level support for anyone who knows nothing or very little about standards. You can visit our website, hsbooster.eu, and then you will have a lot of basic information about what is a standard, what is SDO, Standard Development Organization, what are de facto standards, how to connect with projects that are in your same area, and so on. And we aim at supporting at least 250 projects with basic level services. Then there is the proactive level, where we, as project partners, let's say, proactively identify projects that may have a contribution to a standard, and we propose to the projects directly to be put in contact with working groups or technical committees to help them boost the results. And the last one is, let's say, the more important one, that's the consultancy services I've been mentioning so far. So a consultancy given by a real expert in standards that will be matched with the project based on the topic, basically, and that will deliver a consultancy in the time frame of 3 months, starting from when the project makes an application. So,
Maria, sorry, we have to use again the audio of the PC and the software microphone.
Oh, okay. So I hope you can hear me. For the people online, of course. So what I was saying is like the three main levels of the services that we're offering in HS Booster. And the next thing I want to tell you is how you can actually access these services. We have launched a series of open calls. Basically, we have one open call for standards experts that want to be, let's say, delivering these services. And then we have another open call for projects that want to receive the consultancy. The first open call for projects is already open. It will close on the 30th of September, but there will be other 4 coming right after, because we have 5 consecutive calls. The reason why there are 5 is just because for every call we give priority to a given set of topics, but even if the topic you're working in is not in the priority, it doesn't mean it won't be considered. It just means it will be given less priority in that specific call. We will serve the projects on a first come, first served basis. So if you think that you are in a phase where you would like, to start working towards the standard part of your project, apply as early as possible. And here you see an overview of the main topics that we're going to touch specifically in the first call. We have health, resilience, sustainable digitalization, EU green transition, smart cities, circular economy. So all topics that actually have something in common with many of the topics of the conference more at large, but also with the topics of this specific workshop, because if we go more into the details of, for instance, the sustainable digitalization, we have a series of topics such as trustworthy AI, intelligent factories, we have ethical data usage, and so on, which are actually the topics we're talking about, and there are experts in this field that already have been recruited who can help the projects that want to do something in this field. So last two slides, if you are a standard experts, here you find an overview of the experts we have so far, more than 100. We're still looking for someone else, so you have to apply to the hsbooster.eu website to become an expert. There is an eligibility check. Or if you are a project, you do the same to receive some sort of inputs that I have listed here, so some sort of guidelines and coaching for your projects. And you can do this by basically going to our website. For the people who are online, you can just scan this QR code. We will redirect you to the source I'm referring. And for those of you who are here, I have business cards that I can give you with the same QR code. So I think I'm within time, right? I hope everyone could listen me enough well. If you miss something or if you want to ask additional questions, you can do now or later. And here is also my contact email to get in touch also later on. Thank you for your attention.
We quickly leave the floor to Nicolas for the presentation of Koala, and then, as anticipated, we will open the round table. Please, Nicolas.
Okay, thank you, Eva. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry I was late, so I'm going to talk to you about Koala and conversational AI. Koala is an ICT 38 project which aims to bring an intelligent assistant to the shop floor so that workers can use it to analyze problems with their machines, to check on defects on the production line, and in other industrial processes. There's also a second application of this assistant that is in some of our industrial partners. The workforce is very old, and some knowledge will be lost. So Koala assistant is one way of trying to preserve that knowledge and passing it to younger employees. So this is very much in the theme of this workshop about how can workers accept AI in manufacturing, and Koala's answer is by providing a sophisticated conversational assistant that is married to trustworthy and verifiable AI components. Okay. Now, should I just hit this?
It works. We see the slide.
Oh, you see it there? Okay, so a little word about digital intelligent assistants. There are a lot of them around now. They have different capabilities. What do they do? They interact through natural language. And now, why is this worthwhile? Well, not everybody is an expert programmer in Python or Java or whatever other language you want. Especially workers on the shop floor may not have had that training. In addition, programming, as you probably know, requires painstaking attention to detail. Syntax errors will give problems. Natural language is flexible, and it allows for ambiguity and allows for conversational uptakes. So in some ways, natural language is the ideal medium with which to collaborate with an AI assistant. Okay, an advantage here is that if you have an assistant, and actually in our AI Institute in Unity, we are building robots that can do this. So this robot can talk to a worker and do a dangerous job, say like inspect the wing of an aircraft, crawl into a small space on an aircraft to inspect cabling. Okay. And these assistants, they have a natural language part, a conversational part, and they have a back end, which could be some kind of AI engine. It could be symbolic, it could be purely data-driven, neurally based. I think we'll talk more about that during the session with the questions. And it exploits the knowledge in those models. Okay, what kind of workplaces are we talking about with Koala? Well, we have a Whirlpool partner, and their shop floor is very big. It's long distance. It's quite cramped. It's noisy. And there's some manual labor going on here. We also have Diversi. It's a little bit more dangerous. They make lessive, dishwasher liquids for cleaning, but you know, you can make a wrong mixture and think bad things can happen. And then we have a firm, Piacenza, Fratelli Piacenza, who makes very high-end textile cloth. And those are the people who have very old employees. So koala assistants in manufacturing. Here are the two ways we're using them. And this is a work in progress. I'll come to that in just a minute. One side is augmented analytics. So what happens here? So we have a bunch of data coming from machines, perhaps indications of errors, indications of malfunctions, coded up with strange codes. The analytics engine can look over that data, alert workers to a malfunction, can also predict that a replacement must be made or that there's a possible malfunction. And it could also make recommendations for best practices, okay? Analyzing various kinds of shop data. Now, I think a very important part of this picture is that the users, the end users, the humans, the workers, control the analytics through the dialogue. So this is AI in the service of humanity, not the other way around. Okay. And one of the things we think that's very important is that users should be able to ask assistants for explanations of predictions or recommendations via dialogue. Okay. So that's the augmented analytics part, but then there's the support for on-the-job training. And here, workers share experiences via dialogue, and they'll get advice based on their experience level. And the assistant can adapt, as many now tutoring programs do, to the worker's learning progress. Okay, just a particular example here. So there's a request here. I hope you can see my cursor for a forecast. And then the Koala assistant comes back with an answer to this. How does this work? Well, you have this rather incomprehensible machine identity, ID here. What the assistant can do is guess the intent and extract the relevant entities that the intent is about. The intent is something what we call in linguistics a speech act related goals. So you say things to accomplish certain ends. Those are the intents or the goals. This feeds into a dialogue management module that then tries to figure out what is the best response. Then that is translated into a particular query that can go to the data, to the analytics engine, and then come back with a response that gets coded up in natural language. There's also on-the-job training support. So one way to do this is to, the novice on the left here can ask for instructions. And here, so this is mostly symbolically coded knowledge. And then you can see that there's interaction that the worker can say, okay, what do I do next? And then Koala comes back with something. Then there's also a task where, where you can share knowledge with the assistant. So you can give it information. And then you can ask a question about, look, I've got a problem. How can I fix this? And it tells you how to do that. And you can actually ask for follow-up information. Okay. Now, I want to just go a little bit into the theory behind dialogue models. Humans are the best dialogue models on the planet by far, and AI is not going to get there anytime soon. there has been a kind of revolution that you can see even with things like Siri and Alexa, is that you can exploit what are called language models that are trained on huge amounts of data and that give you recognition abilities of intents or entity extractions that are flexible, okay? Nevertheless, the list of intents, possible discourse intents, or the set of named entities that's about remains largely a fixed list, and that feeds into a largely fixed list of dialogue actions that the model performs. So it's just quite a simple finite automaton. Where you're still lacking in deep understanding and conversational skills, and work in my lab, we actually see that even very, very large foundational models are not robust in the way that is required for AI in industry, where the stakes for the risk of error or the possibility of error can be very bad. In some cases, it can even be life critical. So, you know, we have troubles there, and we aren't really understanding deeply yet what's going on. Nevertheless, here is a sort of snapshot, I won't go through it, of all the little bits that we actually used. And this is actually Biba in Bremen that has built this digital assistant. And they're using off-the-shelf or, you know, industrial components from Mycroft and Rasa. And the system, you know, it's a first step. And we have yet to really evaluate it in the field, and that's where we are now. So that's about it for Koala. Here's the website, some other sort of ways of getting more information about Koala, if you wish. And I'm happy to answer questions if anybody has any. Also online.
Okay.
Yes.
I just was wondering how workers react to it. Did you test it with workers? Do they really use it? How do they feel about?
Very good question. That's the most pertinent question for the project. Right now, we are just initiating worker tests. We're halfway into this project. It actually took quite a while to build this assistant because of some of the problems that I raised, like noisy environments. So the speech to text part, this STT part, works great when it's kind of quiet. It's much more difficult when you've got a bunch of machines whirring away. We are in the process of testing it now. We have some preliminary data from Diverse, where it seems to be people, at least the managers, are very happy with it.
Maybe an additional question. Did you think about how promoting these things to workers? Somehow you have to tell them what's the added value by reducing music, because they are working probably for years and years how they are working right now. Mm-hmm. And change is a hard thing to get achieved. So how do you sell it?
Right.
Sorry, Nicholas, we have to repeat the question because unfortunately the people connected remotely cannot hear.
Shall I repeat it?
Yeah, exactly.
So the question is, the first question was, have we tested this system extensively on workers yet? No, we're in the process of starting that. We have some preliminary returns now that are positive. The second question is, how do you sell this kind of technology to workers? And I think that's a very important and key question. I'm going to answer it in two parts. First, I'm going to answer it by talking about managers. So, for example, Whirlpool did a study that if this all works out as intended, they can save maybe up to 10% of production costs, which is huge. So if I now go to Airbus and I say, look, I can save you 10% of the cost of building an Airbus 350, we're talking about millions and millions of euros. So that interests the managers. At the level of the workers, I think it's It's more complicated. I think we have to show, first of all, that these assistants can help alleviate stress, anxiety, that they can do the tasks that are really boring or dangerous. But I think this is also a question that we need to discuss in the roundtable, because I think there are also some drawbacks there. I think the general public has accepted AI in many areas, right? Because it makes their lives better. That's the kind of argument we have to make for the workers. It'll make their lives better on the shop floor.
Any other questions?
Any other? Yes? Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Okay. My question is, how do you determine the right range, for example, the speech recognition and all this stuff?
Oh, wait, no, I didn't hear that last part. How do I determine the range of what?
The range of, for example, the accents or different situations.
Good question.
Could be a black box, for example, for the data analytics, and can lead to a security issue, for example, the chemicals or things like that, for example.
I didn't hear the last.
How do you deal with this for example, different accents or lack of language skills, and specifically when security can be an issue?
Yes. Okay. So this question raises multiple issues.
I guess you have to repeat again.
Yes, I will. I'm going to. Yeah. Okay. So, and the multiple issues are, so first, how do you determine the range of actions in the dialogue model? Is that in the assistant? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So it's a question about the speech to text system, and is how do you adapt to different accents? And that's a good question, but we have sort of three populations of workers. So at Diverse, mostly Dutch speaking, and there are pretty good speech to text Dutch systems. It may need some fine tuning. So these are, again, pretty much neural models. They're sequence to sequence models. They work pretty well. They can be fine tuned for different, regional accents. Dutch is one case. Piacenza, I know there are many of you here who are much better at Italian than I am. I know Italian has many, many dialects. I don't know what they speak in Piacenza, whether it's high. Those workers are very old, so they may, I anticipate that we will have more trouble maybe with convincing those workers of the usefulness of this stuff. There's also, you also raised the question about security risks. We are going to, there's also a big privacy issue here because especially in the digital assistant, which is doing on-the-job training support, it may be that it could be used to evaluate workers, and we want to avoid that. But I mean, we're going to hand that over to our industrial partners, and that is an ethical concern. There's also there's a security risk about the data, but the data we are not going to, although the analytics are trained on all this data, the data remains with the company, and so it's the company's responsibility to secure their own data. We are not taking charge of that. Did I get all of your questions? Okay. Any questions on the chat? Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay. So I invited the speakers to join us on the table, the ones that are here physically. And I thanks again, Nicholas, for a very nice presentation about Koala. Now we are going to open the session about the round table. So as I mentioned, we have identified three questions, and we would like to have the opinions of our experts on these questions. But again, we are trying to be interactive, so whatever is your specific curiosity or question, please enter the system and type it into the system, and we will try to address it accordingly. So we have our two speakers here in presence, and the other ones remotely. They can open their microphone and contribute to the discussion independently. Okay, so which are the main questions we are going to analyze a little bit deeper today. The first one is discussing about how the artificial intelligence and intelligent machines, let me use this word, could affect the interaction with the human. We heard that people can be guided, for example, by an assistant, so they can sort of reduce their perception of responsibility and try to rely as much as possible on guidance and on the expertise of the machines. On the other side, they could be scared about machines that are becoming intelligent, not fully controlled, and that are taking decisions, and they need to understand why these decisions are taken. So the explainability of artificial intelligence is also relevant. So we are now trying to open this discussion about new ways of interaction and potential gains or drawbacks related to people that have to interact with intelligent machines. I think that maybe, Nicholas, if you want to start, and then we can leave the floor to the other people.
Okay. Right, so there are always two types, there are two scenarios that come immediately to mind when people start thinking about AI in general society. One is the Terminator scenario, which is the one we absolutely want to avoid. And the other one is a utopian society where humans, it's sort of a Marxist dream where humans can do critical criticism at night and go fishing in the morning, while the machines do all the drudgery, and we get to do what we were supposed to do, as the Greeks said, which is to do philosophy. Now, of course, neither one of those poles is correct, or makes much sense. I do think machines can affect humans for the better. We see that in our personal lives already. I mean, how many of you would feel if you were now cut off from the internet forever and you had no access even to a calculator, not a smartphone either? Your lives would change, I think, for the worse. I mean, there are lots of services that machines now beginning and with some AI in them can provide. And as I said in the talk, we could get intelligent cobots to do dangerous jobs, things that might endanger workers, and so that seems to be a plus. There are also cons, and I think the question mentions this, that humans can be easily taken out of the loop. I'll give a silly example, but everybody, I think all adults, at least of my parents' generation, maybe not all, but a lot of them could add, subtract, multiply, divide pretty easily, even take square roots. Now, how many of you remember how to do square roots? Nobody, because you use your calculator, right? So there's something happened here. You've become dependent on the device. I mean, it's a kind of trivial dependency, right? But you've become dependent on the device to do your work for you. And you've lost a certain amount of autonomy. And that's what I take this question is about, which is humans can be taken out of the loop. That means you lose autonomy. Autonomy in the workplace is very important. That's when the human becomes a servant of the machine, or where management, to put a more kind of worker-based perspective on this, where management can exploit machines to control worker behavior, worker pay raises, and so on. That seems to me a danger, but it's a danger that we are aware of, and I think we can control.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that in the Italian case, for example, you are facing with the older worker population. On one side, they could have more difficulty in accepting the guidance of a conversational AI system. But you also mentioned that you are going to use it to collect some tacit knowledge. So maybe a way to sell this solution is to explain to these people that they are not only be guided by the machine, but they can also contribute and use the machine to make their experience, their knowledge, their professional skills available also to others, a way to valorize their contribution.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that is a very valuable task that these machines can do, which, store best practices. These workers at Piacenza, they're all in around 70 or older, and so they're going to retire or they're going to die, and then nobody will know how to make this beautiful textile that turns into a wonderful dress made in Italy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we can put the human out of the loop, but also into the loop because
also
of
into
the contribution.
Yes.
I don't know if Andrea or the other speakers are willing to contribute, and also the perspective of Kit for SME about this potential issue of people perceiving the risk of becoming pushed away or out of the loop because of the machines, and these new types of interaction that are changing in positive and also in negative, the interaction with machines.
Yeah, that kind of perception that you're being kind of replaced or taken over by the artificial intelligence usually happens when your solution start to work properly. So there is a phase of skepticism, then there is this phase in which the operators or the decision makers start to see that these things can work, and they start reasoning about possible replacement. Obviously, this is one of the issues that you need to take care of, how to introduce culturally this solution inside the organization of a company. But I think that the best that we can get from the use of AI in decision-making process is when you can get together artificial intelligence and humans to cooperate in taking decisions. You got AI solutions that can really elaborate a lot of data and get insights that are impossible to a human being. But at the same time, you got the human being holding still the capability to intuition, the capability to detect trivial errors that AI may have skipped in its overview. So the most you can get is when you put together both point of view and you have this system taking decision together. Otherwise, all those out of the loop condition, the excessive reliability on the system, these are all problems that you're adding to the production system rather than taking them away. You really need to have this kind of communication, is one part of it, obviously, being able to interact in a intuitive and easy way with the AI, and then you have to take the decisions together. This is where you can get the most out of AI.
Yeah, if I may add something from a manufacturer perspective, I totally agree, and we actually are living what Andrea just explained. I mean, the first step, people is skeptical, because they're skeptical that an AI solution or such a process change could be effective as people is. And but then when they start to be aware that this actually can happen, then they are afraid, of course, that they can be replaced. So what we are facing, and I'm stating this from a small manufacturer position, is we are offering them an evolution. It's a method evolution, and we know that the speed on we can go on this evolution is within our people process empowerment. From one side, we need people to work on the formalization process, on the learning process of the system, and on the other side, we really need to make people understand that thanks to this system, they can increase the amount of value that they can make per unit. So there is a very good value proposition, in my opinion, behind this, on working on the empowerment on the people on the production floor. Of course, as we heard from Koala examples, well, you have different profiles in every single company. So there is a matter of attitude, competences, age, aspiration, and so on. We need to deal. But again, it's in the ownership hands, in manufacturing hands, this responsibility to increase the value on the company. And if we define most of the value on the people, I mean, again, there is a pretty good, in my opinion, value proposition toward the AI introduction. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can answer. Thanks. Sorry, Eva, for
Yes.
interrupting you. Can I just add a couple of
Sure.
of ideas? I agree with what you, Eva, said before, and also Andrea and Nicholas especially, regarding the psychological issues that may occur in case of human-machine interaction, in particular the techno stress you mentioned, and the risk of development of a master-slave dependency between the operator and the machine, with a sort of attitude to delegate too much task, too much things to do to the machine, and to be dependent on the machine. And this could, on the other hand, also in some way diminish the ability of the operator to improve its training system, its skills. And this could cause problem when some difficulty in the running of the system occur. So I think it's really important. On the other hand, there is also the risk, especially in collaborative intelligent environment, to develop a sort of emotional attachment to the machine. It is something that we in iRegio have studied in case of machine using social interaction with a human-like interpersonal way. So it is something that also risk to produce, on the other hand, social isolation, because relying too much and be so attached to the machine could cause the risk of engaging with human contact with the other operators. And this is something we need to take into account, as well as the risk of stigmatization and social sorting of the operators. I mean that the awareness of being monitored by the machine, by the AI system, and the function allowing performance evaluation could in some way produce a sort of change of behavior in the operators. And this is something to avoid, also because it could produce stress and be outside what we are looking for, the human well-being in the workplace. So what we could try to do is to investigate more the how to cooperate area. This is an area of the literature around ethics and AI, and in particular how the operator, the human, could be in the loop in an environment characterized by strong human-machine cooperation.
Thank you, Marina. Indeed, that was one of the points that we mentioned in the short test. So, which are the risks related to the fact that workers will be more familiar and will rely more on machines rather than on opinions and suggestion of colleagues. So there could be an evolution, positive or negative, in the way that the workers will interact with each other. And I was also thinking, but maybe it's too early or it's a little bit out of scope, but I was thinking about how the interaction and relations across supply chain and value chain will change. Because if one company is using AI, for example, for taking some decisions, for selecting providers, or for refusing materials because of defects, in the future, suppliers and other stakeholders in the value chain won't talk with the responsible of the purchase or the quality responsible as a human, but again, they will receive machine-prepared reports, so they should be ready to know that there is an artificial intelligence system taking decision, and it will be definitely different.
Yes, you are absolutely right.
Human-driven. So the human aspect in the interaction with suppliers, with customers, will be soon replaced by, at least the decision will be taken by machines, artificial intelligence, and has to be explained also outside the company.
Yes, you're right, absolutely. And I think this also implies sort of reflecting on liability allocation between the different part of the value chain. And it is important to develop accountability tools in the AI system itself, in my opinion, to be able to tackle with these issues, I think.
Yeah, without mentioning that new people could be selected and have virtual dialogue with machines again, and another type of human interaction that could be replaced by human-to-machine interaction. I propose to move on to the second question, because I suspect that we have many things to share, and again, a nice discussion. Well, the second question is quite similar to, not very similar, but connected to the first one. In this case, we are thinking about mistakes that could be done by artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence needs to be trained to learn, and during the learning phase, and maybe also after the learning phase, errors can be responsibility of machines. So how can we train people, how we can alert people and make them responsible to supervise what the machines are doing, and to instruct them when they can intervene, because definitely the machine is wrong, or when they have to rely on the machine, and these types of interaction that they have to deal with when the artificial intelligence is learning. I know that, for example, Salvatore is using the artificial intelligence to detect defects, but at least up to a certain point, the machines won't be able to detect all the defects, or they can have false positive. So how are you going to address this issue internally? But also the question is for the other project, for sure, also for Koala, for iRegio, how can we guard against mistakes?
Yeah, of course. As the solution gets scaled, you start, managing issues that previously you didn't have. And I think you're right, is pretty much related to the first questions. And again, it's a merging of the base concept behind the process. We will still have people process decision and a process decision. So, but to be specific on how to start managing the problem, the mistake, again, I would point it out, and we are working, still working on managing the data available for the learning process. I mean, from our side, we are pushed from many suppliers of tools, smart or not, and they usually say that that most of the time when it comes to AI, you hear people saying, there is this solution for your problem, and you just implement it, you make the system run, and the learning process will start. So again, in that case, you start realizing that the main problem is the quality of the data the solution will need to manage. So as a first step, in order to work on the mistake and the managing the mistake, the first step, we really need as a manufacturer to invest as much as we can on the quality of the data available in order to change and set the data in the proper format. Once that this is done and the system is efficient, then it comes the real value of the people managing that solution. And in our case, it's kind of a easy answer. We will still need to have our artisans at the end of the loop, like a master chef that is placing the cherry on top of the cake right before to go in the table. And our main goal is to concentrate our effort on the really value added that in our case is represented from the Swiss made, and the Swiss made is represented from the cherry on the cake. So back again, really set the data available in the proper way in order to have an efficient solution going, and train the people in order to really be able to guide the solution on the value, where the value proposition want to go.
Thank you, Salvatore. So I leave the floor to the other speakers, and I understand that in your case, mostly the effect of errors is an economic loss mostly, but in some other scenarios there is also a security issue that could be even more.
Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Yeah, of course, in a manufacturing system, we see the AI implemented in other, in everything you do, and the safety and security for sure is very important. As much as to use the AI in order to increase the well-being of the workers and operators. I mean, to let the collaborative robot start where the operator is tired or has a loss of attention or needs to make a break and so on. Or where you have some process that are, as in Koalan case, mention some dangerous tasks to be made. But yes, in our environment today, the AI is concentrate on the scale our solution in an efficient way, and yeah, that's basically it.
No, I mean, still the problem of identifying correct responsibility is also valid in your case because of the economic loss. So it could be a responsibility of the AI provider or of who selected the data in your company, or so there are different level of responsibility, and it's important to be able to track this responsibility. But of course, when security issues are caused by the artificial intelligence, the need of perfectly.
Yeah, but again, this step you just mentioned is a very high level step. I mean, today we don't have in process any medical device. We used to have some medical device, and in that case, you really need to track it down every single process because you need the validation. So when it comes to validation, it comes as standards. Standards, you may have a different level. And if we introduce the AI that is really in charge of the true or false of your solution or the validation of your solution, in that case, then it's really get close to what you just pointed out. It's a people responsibility, or is the AI? Of course, there is a really long way. In our experience, I mean, even well, big company in the medical device worldwide, still this kind of validation is based on in a people process. I'm saying this because I mean, of course, those companies they live in the futures more than we do. They really are 20 years ahead of us, and they still didn't find a convenient way to apply this kind of solution. But you know, this doesn't mean that this could not happen within a day.
Okay, so I would like also to hear the opinion of Nicholas, if you want to contribute, and Marina, and
Okay, so yeah, I have a different take on this question, I guess, than Salvatore. It was Salvatore.
Salvatore, yes.
Yeah. Yes, mistakes do happen. I think there's a real technical problem here, and there's also a political problem. The technical problem is known as robustness, and there's also the problem of bias. There's bias in data, as Salvatore points out, but there's also bias in algorithms. There's also a problem, and we can't just get rid of all biases. In our institute, my colleagues have proven theorems that if you get rid of biases, your performance goes down. And actually, there's a very famous theorem from the early 90s, before machine learning really took off, but it was there as theoretical, that if you get rid of all biases, then your universal algorithm will do no better than chance on prediction. That's called the no free lunch theorem. And I think it's a theorem, so it's true. So we need biases, but which biases, okay? That's the first question. And the second question is, so just to reply to why I have a different take from Salvatore here. It's not enough to check your data, because in fact, you can't check your data. There's too much data that you need in order to get high performance modern machine learning algorithms to work. All the transformer, all the foundational models use, so in my realm from NLP, they use data, billions and billions of words of data. No human can survey those. And we know that data, which comes from the web, is full of all kinds of biases, noxious biases, actually. So then the question is, how do you detect them? That's a difficult problem. I wanted to say the other side of this coin is known as robustness. This is a problem for inductive learning. Because the way these machines work is based on cleverly finding statistical correlations, but is not necessarily grounded either in causal, mathematical, or logical models, you can deviate just slightly from the data input. It might be an impossible data point, but it'll predict something crazy, okay? So out of domain prediction is a real problem for systems, especially, okay, so what is the take that I'm telling you here? If you invest in very large high performance architectures that needs tons of data, you have a mistake problem. You have a robustness problem. You also have a bias problem. So what have I been arguing for in Koala? Don't use huge architectures. Use more frugal machine learning architectures. Don't use maybe neural nets that are, have 300 layers. Use a very small neural net, or use some random forest techniques or things like that. Why is that? Because for those kinds of machine learning, one thing that we have done in Koala and have done more generally in UNIT is to show that we can provide verifiable guarantees of performance. We can also provide explanations of the behavior of the machine, tells why it predicted what it did, that are logically correct. That means that if the machine made prediction X and our explanation is Y, then Y has to be true. Okay. Now we can't do that with large machines. I mean, there are even theoretical results that show for the transformer type architectures, we don't even understand what happens to the data after the 8th or 9th level in the transformer mechanisms. So we think that this is a very important issue. It's critical for industry, but industry then cannot just say, Google, solve this for me, when Google puts it into some giant architecture, because we can't prove things about that. We have no guarantee that it's not going to make a catastrophic error. So I think this is a technical issue. I think it's extremely important. And, if we can't solve this, and if we, something bad could very easily happen. So you've seen Tesla's crash. Okay, 2 or 3 people died. Airbus 350 crashes because it's on visual flight rules, and it's got a neural net vision recognition system for runway, and it screws up. Well, 300 people died. That will cause an AI winter like the others we've had.
Thank you, Nicholas. I just intervene to say something that is again popping up in my mind, and the importance of train people, educate people about also the limits of artificial intelligence and machines, so to make them aware that, especially in the initial period when machines are learning, they might do errors. So to avoid the risk that as a young employee just arrived in a new company, if the senior says something is really difficult, that the young one will say, no, you're wrong, because the senior knows everything. And so the self-confidence of the young employee is very low, and it's difficult that he will intervene. In the same way, we should avoid the risk that the workers will rely too much on machine and will doubt when it's the moment to stop them, because they're doing mistakes, because, okay, that's a machine trained with lots of data, it cannot make errors, and this could be very dangerous for economic losses, but also for security. So we should explain.
Both are dangerous, Eva.
Sorry?
Both of these situations are dangerous. I'm a big fan of the Mayday TV series, the one about the air crash investigation, and both the situations that you have described, the old one in which you have your senior officer that is piloting the airplane with you, saying wrong things, but let's say saying that in an authoritative way, so that in the end the plane crash. And the same may happen obviously in airplane piloting, but also in our manufacturing system when you have an AI system. So we need to not to replicate the same errors that we do usually when older or senior people are coercive with the younger ones who can have better detection of what is happening. When we introduce AI solutions and intelligence, artificial intelligence in our manufacturing system. So, and here I think that the best thing is we talk about human agency. So human shouldn't be, and this AI decision making shouldn't be separate words. Like, okay, we have the AI decision taken by artificial intelligence, and then we have the human who is watching what happens. It should be the AI supporting the human in taking decision. It should be something that they do together. In this way, they both own, and especially the human being owns the decision that has been taken, and you have control of what is happening. Otherwise, it's obvious that you have those out of the loop condition. In long term, you have the skill loss, because if I always rely on the taking decision in my place, at the end I will not be able to take the decision anymore. So you really need to have this cooperation. This is the right way to use AI.
Can I just jump in here and say, I don't think cooperation is enough. I think because look, you can both be mistaken. And I think really the AI provider here, especially if the AI is going into a critical environment, security issues, as Eva keeps on saying, the AI provider must provide guarantees of performance, and must provide that if the worker asks for an explanation for the prediction, that what the machine comes back with is valid, right? It's not something like your best guess or something like that, because otherwise lives may be at stake. And so I think really we went through this long ago when, for example, many of you most of you weren't here when the ARPANET was first invented. The ARPANET was used to convey information across cables, and also nuclear codes, nuclear information. There was a proof that the algorithms used to encode the information did it reliably, and otherwise we would not have had the ARPANET, and we might not have had the internet. And we need guarantees for our AI, especially if it's going to be taking very important decisions.
Sure.
Marina, I don't know, Eva.
Yes. And then we have also a question in the room.
Oh.
Marina, please go on.
I would like just to add something on what Andrea mentioned. I think it's really important to adopt a sort of risk-based approach, distinguishing on the type of the AI system. In particular, for some of them, it's enough to have a human in the loop in the form of human oversight. For some other, where, for instance, there is a real risk for human safety and of real harm to individual, human in the loop should be human in control. The operator should be able to intervene to stop the system if something is not going well, if there is some problem. This is my idea, to adopt the risk-based approach promoted by the European Commission in the AI Act proposal, and fostering this kind of different response to the different AI system challenges. In addition to this, I would like to also mention that data accuracy is really important as an element to ensure a real, robust and trustworthy AI application. And on the other hand, regarding the allocation of liability, there is an open discussion of this, and the European Commission is working hard in order to solve this topic. We not only European Commission, also the European Parliament. We have communication on reports on liability of AI system. We have resolution of the Parliament on how the liability allocation should occur. So there is really a lot of discussion on this. What we can do now, pending the approval of the final AI Act, is at least to rely on some sort of contractual provision to allocate the responsibility between the different actors of the value chain, in my opinion.
Yes, correct. Thank you, Marina. And now we have a question from the audience. Probably you are not able remotely to...
The first one came from the first session. We talked about ownership of the data, and as a representative of the doing owner, I know that they have no relation to data at all. The data that you use
My experience is that
Ben.
the owners don't know data is. They don't have any idea about this and how it should manage. So in practice, it's the provider that sits on the cards. And when you talk about this AI, you said the quality of the data is crucial. But then the owner who doesn't know what data is responsible for the quality of the data you use. How do you handle that?
Okay, I think I understand the question. So the question is, I should repeat the question. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that we said that the owners have the companies own their data. We don't own it. We exploit it. And the question and the remark is, well, but the company owners don't know what's in the data, and they don't really control for the quality of the data. So how do we deal with this issue? And I think this is a very good question. When I say the owners own the data, that's their responsibility to make sure that the European laws on privacy are upheld, and that the data is as secure as they, because it's their business data, so their business secrets leak out, it's their problem. But you're right that they don't really know how good the data is, and actually some of the data is not so good. So we do look at that, and we do try and figure out whether it's good. Now, we couldn't do this if we had very, very large machine learning architectures. But what we have, we use random forests. We use, naive Bayes classifiers. We use simple things that we can control that don't need so much data. So we actually can look at the data, at least do statistical sampling on it to make sure it's not totally crazy. But the general problem, I think, is very worrisome, especially when we have to use lots and lots of data. And there, hidden biases are probably, it's extremely difficult to, you can see the biases if you're clever or lucky, but it's not, there's no sort of surefire way that I know of saying, oh, here's a gender bias. How do we look for it? How do we look for a religion bias or something like that? So good question.
I have just a reflection on the importance of reliability for the acceptation of the tool. Because even though maybe there is no major security issue or not even a major loss if there is a wrong data coming up or a wrong decision made, for the acceptance of the tool, for the workers, if they use it and it gives them false results or not good results, they will not adapt it. So I think reliability of the system is important as well to finally get buy-in and that the workers really rely on it and want to work with it. And I think it's not only it's a huge impact, it's important, but also for the day-to-day use and the buy-in of the workers.
Okay, so you couldn't hear perfectly what has been said, but it was basically a reflection from, sorry, don't remind your name, and Claudia from Novatec about the importance of reliability. And well, I profit to jump to the last question because of the lack of time. So we discussed about the interaction, about the possibility of mistakes, and Marina introduced also the importance of legislations and regulation coming from the Commission, from the Parliament. So I would like now to quickly ask your opinion about how we can protect the human rights, how can we encourage the emergence of standards and regulations to try to regulate and to protect from risk, from coming from improper usage or improper development of artificial intelligence. So maybe Maria, you can start because you have been silent so far.
Thank you. So I hope people can hear me from.
If you want to go closer to this PC.
Can people hear me?
No, but they won't.
Yeah, sure.
We have 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
So I gladly start the discussion on this last topic because I agree with Marina. There are a lot of documentations and works that the Commission is doing. In 2018, the Commission set up a high-level expert group on AI, which is working on a lot of the topics and the issues that were discussed. And there's a publication basically where they start recommending some practical elements that can help go towards the trustworthy AI, which is, the name that's used and also other presenters have used in their previous speeches. And among the tools that they talk about, they clearly mark and stress the point of robustness, which was mentioned by Nicolas, the problem of reliability that Claudia said. And what I think is one of the most important elements that can be fed into this, let's say, reliability topic is indeed the standards, because there are already a lot of standards on these ethics and AI, and I can recommend, for instance, for starters, to read a publication done by StandICT, which is another project I'm in, where there is a free document that basically provides a landscape overview of all the standards that are there in AI, and they are divided by categories, and one of the categories is indeed ethics and trustworthiness. This is a very interesting starting point because, as you know, standards are made by best practices, are made on consensus, and they are built together with the experience of many people. So I think one practical tool is trying to start with the standards that are already there, so know a little bit the landscape, what it is, understanding the gaps, and trying to involve also all these amazing research projects that are there to be involved more in contributing to this, like doing a practical contribution. That's what we're basically trying to push with also the HS booster that I was mentioning before.
Yeah, probably your booster can contribute not only in guiding projects, in adopting standards, but also to retrieve feedback and contribution that you can push back to the standardization committees and bodies.
Indeed.
Sorry, could you mention again what the name of the
the project that I mentioned was StandICT. You can go there. STANDICT. Stands for stand. .eu. It's I can maybe email you the.
Thank you.
And you go there. There are landscape reports on a lot of topics, and AI is actually one of the most successful that has been produced, and it's a starting point, I think, to operationalize this.
Thank you very much, Maria.
You're welcome.
I don't know, Marina, if you want to contribute also on this point, but we just have 1 minute or a couple of minutes for the limited time.
Okay. Thanks. And in the document that mentioned Maria, I think it's really important also to make to consider the initiative on ethics of autonomous and intelligent system, which is a standardization initiative very focused on ethics, and it is not a European initiative, but I think that really good projects and standardization outcomes are now under development by this initiative. So we made reference a lot to this in iRegio, and it is a good way, I think. Besides this, as additional tools besides standardization to consider in order to protect and empower a human right approach is, first of all, to adopt an ethics by design approach in order to embed ethical consideration in the design of the system since the very beginning. So this is the first point. Other points are, in my opinion, to have in place assessment mechanisms such as the ethics and data protection impact assessment, considering all the dimension of ethics and focusing not only on AI but on the technological aspect of any research project. And especially for AI tools, it's very important to conduct human rights impact assessment with a role of identify human rights adverse impact of AI system and to provide some sort of safeguards and mitigating measure. I could go on, but if the time is limited, I leave the word to the others.
Thank you very much, Marina. And well, we heard the perspective and the opinions of projects, also of a service from the Commission. I don't know, Davorka, if you want also to contribute with the perspective of digital innovation hubs. I think that, again, digital innovation hubs could play an important role, not only in promoting artificial intelligence, but also in promoting the right assessment about human rights protection, about making workers aware about also limits and potential problems that could be raised by artificial intelligence, and also limits in terms of errors that can be due to the artificial intelligence, and again to create this culture that is necessary in order to really adopt the artificial intelligence. But I think that digital innovation hubs are in the field, they are connected with the SMEs, and they can definitely work and promote these points. I don't know, Davorka, if you want to contribute again.
Yeah, I can tell a few. I mean, we are not directly involved in production manufacturing, so I can say on standpoint of as a way, let's say, orchestrator of innovation ecosystem, but definitely, as the colleague said, so I mean, I think we all share the same points. So today, AI works as a certain black box, let's say, total insight in how AI systems make decisions. So it's very important that decision making should be rest on the human and not AI system. AI system should be transparent, explainable, trustworthy, interpretable, so the human can always have oversight over what's going on beside. So yeah, also there is there is a feeling in other stakeholders that AI is taking over the workplaces and jobs that are more and more done by robots or other systems. So yeah, there should be definitely some legislation, some liability regimes that are responsible for the whole spectrum of human rights violation. Also, there should be some kind of, I don't how to say, maybe for public, for general public, there should be more initiatives like to promote knowledge and understanding of AI and human rights for all, and not to limit AI without.
And probably the Digital Innovation Hub can support the promotion of this initiative and creating
yes,
this.
Definitely. I mean, we are one of our activities is definitely I don't know, awareness training. So what we can do example, for instance, is, I don't know, organize some event or some conference, or take part in, I don't know, some work group that is doing some recommendations on some legislation, recommendations on a high level, for instance, on maybe government level, or so we can definitely give inputs and raise awareness. That is definitely what we can.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, but I have to interrupt you because, well, I think that the roundtable has been very animated and very interactive. So I'm happy that we had this discussion, but we also have some time limits. So unfortunately, we have to close. So I thank everyone for the participation. I again apologize if we had some technical problems, but I think that we indeed had the opportunity of at least starting the discussion around some very interesting points related to artificial intelligence in manufacturing. And again, thanks to everyone, and keep in touch, and you can contact us, also people connected remotely. You can see the recording and, well, help us promoting this discussion to continue in different venues and locations. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.